All right. Good afternoon. My name is Zach Doss, and I just want to thank you and welcome you to the memorial service for Stetson Momosor. And if you're watching online, we want to thank you for joining us. So let's start with some prayer, and then we will go with the service. Thank you. Father, we come to you today, and Lord, when we come to times like these in life, it's really easy to ask why. Because we don't understand everything. But you're a God who understands, you're a God who loves, and you're a God who brings comfort. And so today, I'm asking for your comfort to rest in this place and on this family as we have a time to share a life that was spent in love and blessing. And Lord, I pray that you would, in your wonderful grace, bring peace to this time and rest to the hearts and comfort to the family and friends. We give you all the praise. Amen. All right.
That's good. Okay. Stetson Pinnell Momosor was born June 4th, 1946, to Marjorie Holmes Pinnell and Edward Stetson Pinnell in Abington, Montgomery, Pennsylvania. After having a stroke on November 22nd, 2024, she came home on February 7th, 2025, to be cared for by her loved ones and hospice. She passed away peacefully at home in Anchorage, Alaska on February 28th. Stetson grew up in Newport, Long Island, New York. She graduated from Northport High School in 1964. After high school, she attended the SUNY Cortland, where she received a bachelor's degree in elementary education in 1968. She taught fourth grade, continued her education attending the Long Island University, attended library school at CW Post Center, and graduated with an MLS in 1973. She became the librarian at the school until the summer of 1977 when she was laid off. That summer, she decided to visit her brother living in Anchorage. She found a job with UAA, the AEIDC, and moved to Anchorage in September. In October 1979, she married her brother's friend, Gary Momosor, at the Rabbit Creek Inn in Anchorage. After taking time off from work to have children and do community service, she returned to work in July of 1989 as the children's librarian for the MOA Sampson Diamond branch. And then in December of 2006, she became branch manager at the Muldoon branch until her retirement in June of 2012. Stetson is survived by her loving husband, Gary, of 45 years, one son, Owen, wife, Susie Momosor of Anchorage, one daughter, Olivia, husband, Kyle Hansen of Sandy, Utah, 5 grandchildren, and one brother, Andrew Pinnell of Bellingham, Washington. Through Stetson's love of reading and being a children's librarian, she inspired thousands of young readers. Besides loving to read, she did beading and made beautiful handmade cards. She made the world better, and she will be dearly missed.
It seems appropriate that we offer a children's book. Just this Wednesday, I was listening to a novel, and one character said to another, "Good children's books are written in a way that are accessible to children, but that any age group can appreciate. The best children's books are the ones that trust young readers, with big ideas, and those resonate with all of us." And with that, I offer The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. Ah. Sorry about that. On Sunday morning, the warm sun came up, and pop, out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through one apple, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums, but he was still hungry. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. On Friday, he ate through 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. On Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon. That night he had a stomachache. The next day was Sunday again. The caterpillar ate through 1 nice green leaf, and after that he felt much better. Now he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a small house called a cocoon around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, pushed his way out, and he was a beautiful butterfly.
Thank you all for coming. I'm perfect. Thank you, sir. And I'm Stetson's younger brother, much younger. And my name's Andrew Pennell, and I've met a few of you trying to thank everyone for coming. So once again, thank you for coming. And the whoever's in charge of supplies here, thank you very much. Because my little water bottle is just about done. Okay. I was asked to present the eulogy for Stetson, so here we go. I'll give it my best shot. And this was a contribution of various family members and checked and looked over, and I think very well done. The theme is Welcome to Stetson's Library, where we don't need the Dewey Decimal System or the Library of Congress catalog to organize the chapters of her life. No, her story can't be bound by numbers or categories, for her legacy is defined by the love she gave, the laughter she shared, and the creativity she inspired. If we were to search for a classification, we might have to ask Stetson, though I think they would be at a loss in describing someone as wonderful as she was. So keeping with the library theme, on the bookshelves of her life, there are countless volumes, stories woven with moments, friendships, and passions. After her passing, as we read through the messages on Facebook, it's clear the stories of her life stretch far beyond what any catalog system would capture. Each comment tells of her joy in stamping and beading retreats, the laughter she shared over tea with friends, and the warmth she brought into the lives of so many. All right. Her love of reading is like the stacks of a library, where books upon books of memories rest. From bedtime stories to her children, Owen and Olivia, to the stories at the library where she ignited the imaginations of young readers, she shared her passion for reading with the world. She wasn't just a librarian, she was a guide to new worlds for thousands of children, offering them the same gift she treasured so deeply, the magic of a good story. Her summer reading programs weren't just events, they were opportunities for children to dream, to learn, and to grow. In her home, books were a constant companion. I can still picture her reading Tiki Tiki Tembo to Olivia, their giggles filling the room as she expertly navigated the long name of the main character. It was one of the many beloved stories she passed on alongside Where the Wild Things Are, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and ABC Alaska. Each of these books, with their colorful images and pages and unforgettable characters, was more than just a story to her. They were the key to a child's imagination, and she always was ready to open those doors. But the story of her life wasn't confined to the pages of a book or the shelves of a library. It stretched far beyond that. She was a master of crafting homemade cards, each one like a carefully designed chapter in her life. Just as she put thought and care into every bead she strung together, she wove kindness, love, and attention into every card she made. And each one was a little story in its own right, a small token of her love for the people around her. She never missed an occasion. No birthday, holiday, or special moment was left uncelebrated. Her cards were more than just paper. They were expressions of love, thoughtfulness, and connection. Her life was a series of chapters we could all learn from: how to care, how to create, how to love unconditionally. She taught us all how to write our own stories with joy and purpose, and left us better, far better, for knowing her. Her family, her devoted husband Gary, and their children Owen and Olivia were the heart of her story, her constant companions as they created a life together that was rich with love, laughter, and learning. And now, as she has turned a page to her next great adventure, she lives on in our hearts. Her love for reading, for crafting, for people, and for life itself will never be forgotten. The pages of our lives are richer for having had her in those pages. So as we close the book on this chapter of her life, we find comfort in knowing that her story is far from over. It will live on in each of us, in every child whose life she has touched, in every card she sent, every bead she strung, and in every story shared. May we all honor her memory by living with the same love, creativity, and joy that she so generously shared with the world. Yeah, she was a wonderful person. Amazing person. And if I go much further, yeah, we don't know. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you.
Those are beautiful sentiments. The family would like to extend an opportunity for you to share a memory or a wonderful thought about your life or experience or relationship with Miss Stetson. And so I think Susie's going to open our time, and then feel free to come up and share.
So I'm actually going to be reading something that Gary wrote. And are you sure you don't want to? He's like, can't do it. Can't do it. Okay. So I get the honor of reading about Stetson and her name, which is amazing. So Stetson was truly one of a kind, and as we all are in our own way, but she carried that uniqueness like a badge of honor. Only one person in the world ever has or ever will have her exact DNA. She was fiercely independent, quietly confident, and unmistakably herself. Her name alone told a story, Stetson, a name that made people pause. If you weren't standing in front of her, you'd likely wonder, is it a man or a woman? That ambiguity once worked in her favor. At a library conference in Calgary, the organizers were assigning 2 people per room. They couldn't determine her gender from the registration list, so they gave her a room all to herself. Classic Stetson. She always managed to stand apart, even in the most unexpected ways. People often asked where her name came from, and she loved telling the story. It started generations back as the last name of her great-grandmother. Then it became her father's middle name, passed down like a treasure. And then when it came time for her parents to name their first child, her parents made a promise, boy or girl, that child would be Stetson. And so she carried a legacy in her very name. When she got married, she feared losing her identity of being known only as Mrs. Gary Momosor. But the world never forgot who she was. Wherever she went, people remembered her not as Mrs. Momosor, but as Stetson. A name, a presence, and a force. She gave me a beautiful life, 2 incredible children, each of whom found equally remarkable partners. Thank you. Together, they gave us 5 amazing grandchildren, a family she was immensely proud of and poured her heart into. She left me not just memories, but a legacy of love. I told you that part. And of course, there was her passion for books. Her love of reading wasn't just a hobby, it was a mission. Through her work in the library, she passed on that passion to thousands of children over the years, lighting little fires of imagination and curiosity in hearts all over our community. She will always be known as Stetson, and she will always be loved. So I just want to open up like it's informal. If anybody wants to come share how you know her or any way she impacted you or things you remember, we'll go as long as we want. So feel free to come on up.
Hello, I'm Jackie, and I'm Stetson's stamping teacher. Stetson, I would have 10 women in a room, and Stetson was always the giggly one. I always had to wait for her. Stetson, I'm going to give an instruction now, and if you don't listen, I'm going to have to give it 3 more times. Okay, okay. But then she turned to Susie Hall and chat away anyway, so when she got the ink and the stamp in front of her, I guided her separately. She also shared her squirrel personality with us all the time, and we loved, meaning she couldn't keep a thought or a focus. And so it got to the point where the whole club would say, "Squirrel," and would just burst in laughter. So she will be missed.
My name's Ron Stillins. Many years ago, Roy and Gary, I got to know them, and we had a lot of fun cross-country skiing. And 2 of the girls that was over, I don't think any of us dated them. I didn't because I was married. But I got unmarried and went to work here in Anchorage. Then I got tired of being on my own. So by that time, Gary was married to Stetson. I'd met her several times. And I came over one evening and said, "Can you introduce me to somebody? I'll take him out on a date." She introduced me to her boss, Carol Rzuski. Well, I enjoyed her company for, I think it was 26 years. I also enjoyed Stetson's company. She was one of these rare persons that spoke well, understood, and added quite a bit to the conversation, plus being friendly. Stetson, I'm trying to remember the gal that went east. The 3 girls were running that library. Stetson and just lost my wife's name. Carol. And then there was somebody else. But there wasn't a real boss. Those 3 gals ran the place comfortably, nicely, and enjoyably, I figured. But Stetson introduced me to somebody. I am grateful for that. I owe her a lot. And I'll miss her.
I'm Linda Smith, and I'm one of those ladies. Nancy and I sat with Stetson for many hours beating, and it was the love of watching how she approached her work and her laughter. We laughed so hard, our stomachs ached. It was the best therapy in the whole world, and I got to hear so many stories about you and how much she loved you. So I feel very grateful to have known her. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ashley Wilson. Susie and Owen and their family are our family, and our kids have grown up together, and so we've spent lots of time over at their house, and Stetson would be over there, and I have just the way that she would interact with me and the way that she would talk to me, I never felt like, I felt like I was one of them, I felt like I was one of her kiddos. And our 3 girls, she just treated like she treated her grandchildren. They never were a nuisance to her. She didn't get annoyed by them, and they felt really comfortable with her all the time. And she had a way of making you feel seen and noticed. Like when you were talking with her, you were the only thing that mattered. And it's a really rare quality to have someone be able to see you and be present in that conversation. And it's not, she wasn't trying to think of the next thing or go to the next place. She always was like really present, and the way that she just loved her family and loved her kids, and it just was really beautiful to see. And we would talk flowers, and I remember every year seeing your guys' really beautiful plant that she would house over at, and then I would ask her questions, and it's really, she's a beautiful, beautiful person, so.
Nancy Clark. Sorry. I've been crying for weeks. I met Stetson, it was probably 1993 or 94. I was new to the library system, and if you were a librarian in probably the state at that point, you probably went through STAR reference training. That's where I met her. And it was her name that stood out to me. We didn't really get a chance to talk much, but periodically when she'd come through LUSAC where I was working and was waiting for an elevator next to the desk where I was working, we'd chat. 10 years later, 2003, I became her supervisor when I moved over to Sampson Diamond. And we worked really closely together, got to be really good friends. And she got me into stamping and card making. She was good at bringing people into her crafts and things. And we'd go to craft retreats with Jackie, and I have never laughed as much with anyone in my life as I have with Stetson. We would laugh till tears streamed down our faces at these retreats. We'd get so silly. You'd swear we were, 7-year-old girls, just laughing over stupid things that we'd pick up. The squirrel thing, that was us. All of a sudden, she found squirrels everywhere, and they'd show up on her cards. It was a joy being with her, and I brought her into my family. She made Christmas cookies with my mom and my cousin and my daughter. She came over and visited our kittens when our cat had kittens. We did so many things together, and I'm going to miss her forever.
I'll see if I can do this right. I didn't know Stetson very well. I knew her through my lovely bride, and I knew her tangentially through Nancy Clark when I interned at Sampson Diamond. And then I knew she was a woman who opened up Malden Branch Library, where I'm privileged to be the branch manager. And what I told Gary earlier is that you can feel the heart that she brought to to Muldoon. Some people call it the best branch. And I don't have to pay them. But in large part, it's because of what Stetson brought to Muldoon. And I get to be a small part of that still. Stetson, like my bride, like Nancy Clark, current boss, Elizabeth, and so many others here, are librarians, and they are the heart of the community. And Stetson was an outstanding librarian.
Well, I'm sensing a little theme here. I'm Stuart Wilson Beard. I worked with Stetson back at AEIDC more than 40 years ago. My name is Stuart. Her name was Stetson. We managed to kind of get a lot of mileage out of that. I started my maternity leave there when my first daughter was born. Stetson came to see me at the hospital, and Owen was just a couple of years old. Of course, the visit lasted a while, and there was a lot of laughter, thus the theme. And after a while, I just had to ask her to leave. I was 2 days post-cesarean section, and you know, it just didn't work after a while. And so anyway, it's time for her to go because I just couldn't stand it anymore, but it was really fun. And that was one of my best. I had a lot of good times with Stetson, but anyway, that was one of my dearest moments with Stetson. She always made me laugh, but that was not the time.
Hi, my name is Heather. I met Stetson when I was 4 years old. We had just moved on to Ursa Circle, and her mom and dad came out and went, "Oh, there's another girl that just moved onto the street. Olivia's going to have somebody to play with." So instantly, Olivia and I became friends, and we've been lifelong friends ever since. Every time I went and spent the night at Olivia's house, I just became another one of the kids. She would read to us till we fell asleep at night. And later on in life, when I moved back from college, I became part of Stamp Club. So I got to spend time with her again as well. So Stetson's always been a big part of my life too, and she gave me a lifelong friend, and she's going to be missed.
What beautiful sentiments and a beautiful, beautiful life. The family would like to thank you for coming today. Thank you for joining online. And a reception has been provided in the fellowship hall, which is just through this door here. And there's food and refreshments. So as we're dismissing, we like to ask people if you would like to say hello to the family or meet them and express your sentiments. You can line up starting, we'll dismiss on this side, and we'll just form a line that comes across the front here. And you can shake hands, and then we can make our way into the fellowship hall, and the family would like to say thank you for coming. So this closes the chapter of our service today. So thanks.